Have you ever realized that this is the only paper where UPSC gives us a blank canvas and then it says, go paint your mind? What I'm trying to tell you here is that this paper is not just about the facts. It is actually about how you think, how you connect, and how you express. That everyone should know the rules of the game and then they should play better than anyone else. So can you see the difference in the marks? And this 30-40 marks difference can make a significant impact on the possibility of your selection, on the rank that you secure, on the cadre which has been allocated. Hi, a very good evening to everyone. So today I am here to talk about a paper of UPSC mains, that is the essay paper. Now, what is so special about this paper? Have you ever realized that this is the only paper where UPSC gives us a blank canvas and then it says, go paint your mind? So what exactly I'm trying to tell you here is that this paper is not just about the facts. It is actually about how you think, how you connect, and how you express. So on this note, we are going to start with these series of small sessions where I am going to interact with you as far as essay paper is concerned. But to begin with this very first session on this essay paper, let me tell you my favorite quote with which I resonate a lot. And the quote goes like that everyone should know the rules of the game and then they should play better than anyone else. So now I am here to tell you what are the rules of the game as far as essay paper in UPSC is concerned. So to begin with, the objective of our session today is A, why this paper matters so much as far as UPSC is concerned. B, to give you a reality check that how marks in this paper can make a considerable difference to your performance. C, what are the common mistakes that the most of the aspirants are making while they are approaching the paper of essay? And fourth, what exactly the examiner is looking for. And finally, what needs to be done. Let's have a quick interaction. So to start with, why this paper matters so much? Without any doubt in my mind, I can say with certainty that essay is like a make or break paper. It carries 250 marks. And trust me when I say it has immense potential to literally change which rank you secure, which services you are being allotted, which or whether your name is in the list or not. But the irony is, this paper is being given the least attention by the aspirants. So now we need to delve further into understanding that why this paper matters so much. So let me give you a reality check. If you and me look at the numbers, because that is what we are here for, that how much marks are we securing? So if we just purely from the perspective of examination look at the numbers, you will see that the difference between a candidate and a topper not majorly lies in their score in GS, but often it does lie in the score of their essay paper. In past few years, what we have noticed that on an average, the score of a candidate is hovering around 100 to 110. But if you look at the score of the toppers, you would find that they are managing to surpass 130, 140, or even 150 mark. So can you see the difference in the marks? And this 30-40 marks difference can make a significant impact on the possibility of your selection, on the rank that you secure, on the cadre which has been allocated. Do you realize this 30-40 marks difference? If I just go by 30 marks, that's the difference between the marks of rank 90 with that of rank 290. And this is what the difference is, whether you get IAS or you get IPS, whether you get a home cadre or some other far-off cadre. So do we realize, and most importantly, whether we are in the list or we are outside the list? So do we realize here that the stakes are huge? So I actually wanted to give you this reality check. That time and again in my various sessions, I have been talking about that how there was a time when the highest in the essay was 176. And if I talk about last year result, the highest was 144. And the lowest, which I am informed about, is 39. Can you see the stark difference in your score in one single paper? That is the reality check which I want to talk with all of you. And I do not understand, why are we not paying attention to this paper? Why are we leaving this for the time between prelims and mains? Or even sometimes we think that let's just prepare the content. Writing could be directly done in mains. It doesn't work like this. Okay. So on this note, let's talk about what are some common mistakes. ऐसा थोड़ी ना है that you and me have not attended various sessions. ऐसा भी नहीं है that we have not gone through topper scripts. Then what are, I'm not talking about the general mistakes that we often make. ठीक है? That we have spoken about a lot in various other sessions. But today, I just want to talk about the 3 most common mistakes and which are very significant. The first thing is that what we are writing is a factual data dump. What we are writing or overloading our essays with is examples. Overload of examples. Overloading it with data, statistics, information, without realizing that this paper is not just about facts. And those examples, those data stand alone have no significance until and unless you've not written them in a specific context. Which here I mean that if you do not express a proper understanding, you do not do a proper analysis, you are not able to rightly written your arguments as per demand of the topic, then none of your case study, none of your examples, none of your data, information, statistics are going to hold any significance. The purpose of writing all of this would be defeated. Because this essay paper is not just about facts. I am reiterating this again and again. This paper is about your understanding. It is about your creativity. It is about your power of analysis. The analytical skills are required. So what is required is that you have to write the arguments, and then to substantiate those arguments, you can make use of these data and statistics. But just purely writing examples or writing data and statistics would not fetch you marks. And hands on your heart and tell me, haven't you get this feedback that your essays are overloaded with examples? You're writing one argument and then you're writing 10 examples, and you think that you've written such a good essay, examples from every walk of life, yet you haven't fetched marks. Because what we fail to realize is that although we have written 10 examples, but all those examples are related to just one argument. So basically the analytical part is missing in the essay. So the first most common mistake is what we are writing is a factual data dump. Have I made myself clear? Okay. The next and the important aspect is we do not, or we let us say, underplay the significance of writing a good, effective introduction. And similarly with respect to conclusion. I have said this many a times and I would reiterate. Your introduction is like a trailer of a movie. How captivating, how interesting it is would decide that how much footfall you're going to get during the first weekend. So it is very important to write an effective introduction, because that is the first thing that an examiner reads about your essay. And you need to understand, I have said this before in one of my classes, that essay is more about persuasion, if you have heard about. It is a persuasive exercise. And there are 4 important elements to ensure a good persuasion: attention, comprehension, retention, and action. So first is attention. You have to hold the attention of the examiner so that examiner continues to be invested in your essay. Because if we fail to persuade the examiner, we will not fetch marks in essay. Essay is a persuasive exercise. Everything lies within the control of the examiner. So you have to make sure you are holding the attention of your examiner, and for which it is very important to write a very captivating and interesting introduction. As we very rightly know, well begin is half done. But we underplay the significance of introduction. Many a times I've realized that students have such good potential to write a good essay, and they have written a well-written essay, but they have not invested themselves much in writing a good introduction and conclusion, and which kind of cost them those 20, 30 marks, which otherwise they would have easily secured. Same holds true for conclusion. To a certain extent, I have still noticed that people are investing some time and effort in introduction. Again, hands on your heart, who have started writing the essays. You still are writing some kind of anecdotes or examples, trying to write a decent introduction. But when it comes down to conclusion, it gives an impression that you have already invested all your energy in writing the essay. And while writing conclusion, you're like, bas ye khatam karo yaar, kisi bhi tarah. होता है ना ये, ऐसा लगता है ना बस ये लास्ट पैरा जल्दी से लिख के खत्म करो एंड हाँ आई एम डन. नहीं, ये नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज यू अगेन हैव टू थिंक इट फ्रॉम द फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस ऑफ द एग्जामिनर जिसको आपको परसुएड करना है. कंक्लूजन इज द लास्ट थिंग दैट द एग्जामिनर इज रीडिंग इन योर एसे, एंड इफ द कंक्लूजन्स आर नॉट इफेक्टिव, वो जो एक वो होता है ना मार्क्स देने वाली बात, वो कहीं ना कहीं इम्पैक्ट हो जाता है. So it is very important to write a very effective conclusion कि अगर ऊपर थोड़ी सी भी गलती हुई होगी तो वो ignore कर देंगे while they are reading your conclusion. So the second most common mistake that we do is we do not realize the significance of writing good introduction and conclusion. Is that clear? Now let's come down to the third mistake. और सच्ची बताना, ये होता है जिसने भी मेंस दिया है और कहीं कुछ चूक हुई है, तो you will understand that sometimes it happens you've written a decent essay but your overall score is hovering around 100, 110. वो बहुत बार इसलिए भी होता है. Let us say you are a decent मतलब candidate who has practiced enough of essay writing, but still you have noticed this thing. That happens because हमारी energy over invest हो जाती है in writing one essay. And as a result, we compromise on the quality of the second essay. Now, ideally, you've been given 1.5 hours, but it sometimes happens that you over-invest your time in first essay, whether it is brainstorming, whether it is examples, whether it is time, whether it is energy. And as a result, automatically the quality of your second essay gets negatively impacted. You need to understand that if you want to be in the list of scoring 130, 140 plus in essay writing, both your essays have to be top notch. You can't compromise with the quality of even a single essay. So the time management is the key. और वो क्यों नहीं होता है वो भी बताती हूँ. वो इसलिए नहीं होता, एक तो वैसे ही ऐसे प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर रहे, और दूसरा जब कर रहे हैं तो at max at a time you're writing one essay. तो वो जो एक साथ 2 essays in 3 hours लिखने वाली जो प्रैक्टिस होती है ना, वो हम करते ही नहीं हैं. And that is why this third mistake is often happening with us. ठीक है? But do you realize that जब हम बोलते हैं कि this is a persuasive exercise, अभी बताया मैंने कि essay all depends that how examiner has perceived my essay, because ultimately it is the examiner who will be giving me the marks. So it is very important to understand that what actually examiner is looking for as far as essay writing is concerned. Now, there can be multiple things which you and me can talk about here, and which maybe in the further sessions we would be talking about. But today, let me just tell you those most important things which an examiner is looking for in your essay, and you cannot compromise on it. So the first and the very first thing that the examiner is looking for is to what extent your essay is multi-dimensional. That no matter how unidimensional the topic is, whether you can approach that topic from multiple dimensions or not, this is what the examiner is looking for. No matter the prima facie, the issue looks very social. The issue looks very political, interstate river water dispute. It looks very economical, capitalism leading to inclusive growth. It looks very philosophical, truth knows no color. But despite that, do you have that knack of writing or approaching that particular topic from multiple dimensions or not? This is the first thing which an examiner looks as far as your paper is concerned. Is that clear? The second thing which an examiner is looking for is how creative can you be? ये मैं पता नहीं कितनी बार बता चुकी हूँ और मुझे बड़ा लगता है कि यार ये बस एक बात हम समझ क्यों नहीं रहे हैं. हाँ, there are some of you who actually understands this also. But the point I'm making here is there are two papers which gives you a lot of liberty. One, provided you don't write anything unethical. So it gives you a lot of liberty. One is your ethics and other is your essay. Be as creative as possible. You can make a very judicial utilization of your optionals also. अब please ये नहीं कहना कि maths, chemistry और ये सब है. In fact, maths पे भी आ चुका है टॉपिक, मैथमेटिक्स पे. सो द पॉइंट हियर इज कि ऐसा नहीं है, आपको कहीं ना कहीं नॉलेज तो यार मिल ही जाती है. इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन हाउ यू अप्लाई दैट. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, हाउ कैन यू बी क्रिएटिव? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट मी गिव यू अ वेरी ब्रीफ एग्जाम्पल. इस बार का टॉपिक का ट्रूथ नोज नो कलर. ठीक है. नाउ इट डिपेंड्स हाउ यू कैन गो फ्रॉम डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, प्लेटोज idea of truth being eternal, absolute. Did you get the point? From Plato, moving to philosophy of Anekantvad in Jainism, how truth has different manifestations or perspective. That ultimate truth might be universal, but people's perspective to look at the truth can be very different. How from Anekantvad, moving to Immanuel Kant's perspective of categorical imperative. From how categorical imperative to the perspective of Gandhiji, where Satyagraha, that truth is God. From Gandhiji's perspective, moving further ahead to the postmodern and talking about the postmodernist critique of the fact that truth is not absolute, it's relative. Taking it towards the perspective of Nietzsche, that there are no facts, there are only interpretations. So to what extent we can be creative? How we can link it from social dimension, economic dimension, political dimension. So that totally depends that whether your essay is being multidimensional, whether it is being creative, it should give an impression to the examiner you are a well-read person. Not only well-read, you know your concepts, your philosophies well enough to apply that in different essay topics. That is what they are looking for. And most importantly, are you writing a simple, comprehensible essay? If you remember, ACRA, attention, comprehension, retention, and action. So the second feature here is comprehension. See, Einstein once said, if you cannot explain something simply, that means you yourself have not understood it. So it depends. If you write a simple, comprehensible, well-structured essay, I can vouch any given day you will score more marks as compared to those who are writing some convoluted, some fancy or, nuanced language. Here, language is just a medium through which you are communicating your intent with the examiner. तो वो बहुत वर्ड यूज करते हैं ना, फैंसी, फ्लावरी लैंग्वेज, वोकैबुलरी, ठीक है, जार्गन्स. सी, इट ऑल डिपेंड्स टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट यू आर कंफर्टेबल. If using those jargons you can explain your context in a simple manner, go ahead with it. But if those jargons are jargons for you also, as in you don't exactly understand the meaning and the context in which they are supposed to be used, then it can backfire also. So in your subconscious mind, always remember, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. So write a simple yet effective essay. Is that clear? Okay. So finally, overall, what needs to be done as in from your end. So what needs to be taken care by all you guys out there is do not write GS type of answer writing in essay, because the demand of essay is significantly different from demand of GS answer writing. So that mistake should not be made. The second thing is that while you are preparing the fodder, I'm sure you must be doing it, please develop effective strategies, different ways of writing a very effective introduction and conclusion. That has to be prepared beforehand. That has to be practiced by you n number of times so that you know that which style of introduction or conclusion writing is your strength. Because you are supposed to play around your strengths on the day of mains examination. But for that, self-awareness is required. And if you rightly recall, Aristotle says, knowing yourself is beginning of all wisdom. So be a wise person. Know your strength, know your weakness, and then play around your strengths. Next thing what you can do, as I have said, practice. Practice as much as you can until and unless you don't nail this paper. But along with practice, I would definitely tell you that go for some proper evaluation. Because I believe, let us say you're practicing, but if you're not getting a proper feedback, if you're not getting a strategic intervention, as in where the change has to be made. So without feedback, if you're practicing writing, it is more like shooting in the dark. You would not improve then. There has to be someone, whether you join any institute, whether you join any mentorship, or you have a study group, peer group, whatever it is. But do go for proper evaluation, at least in the beginning stage of your essay writing, so that you rightly know what you are doing right and what you are not doing so right, and where the changes are supposed to be made. And lastly, as of now, what you can do is, while you are preparing your fodder, please enrich it as much as possible. Make a small copy where you are collecting all your quotes, your anecdotes, your data points, so that you can elevate your essay above a normal level. Is that clear? Okay. And before I wind up this small brief session, remember, 250 marks is huge. It can make a significant difference. Let's not let it slip away. So on this note, I conclude this session. And just a reminder, we are going to have such regular brief sessions in which I will be interacting with you on various important aspects of essay writing. Hope you enjoy this session. Do let us know in the comments. Take care. Have a nice day and happy learning. Bye.